Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. I am so pumped you're here today because we're about to totally flip the script on how we understand our own bodies. Look, if you've ever found yourself standing in front of the fridge at 11 p.m., wrestling with that awful dietary guilt, wondering why it feels literally impossible to just stop eating, well, you're in exactly the right place. We're going to unpack the incredible science behind hunger and figure out why your appetite is way more complicated and honestly, far less personal than you've ever been led to believe. Because, let's be real, we've all been there. It's such a shared human experience. Maybe it's going back for that second, heavy slice of pizza late at night, or just mindlessly crunching your way through a family-sized bag of chips after a brutal workday. And what always happens right after? That immediate, crushing wave of guilt. We beat ourselves up, we say we just lack willpower, we swear we'll do better tomorrow. But I want to pause right here and ask you to let this question really sink in. What if your hunger actually isn't a moral failing at all?
Okay, let's dive right into this. For decades, society has basically painted our appetite as the ultimate villain, right? Like it's just this simple battle between your personal discipline and the temptations around you. Honestly, that is a complete myth. The reality is that your appetite is the result of a fiercely powerful biological survival system. This is hardwired into you from millions of years of evolution to keep you alive. Your body isn't trying to punish you or make you feel weak. It is flawlessly executing an ancient, highly sophisticated program designed to prevent starvation when food used to be scarce.
I want to reassure you right off the bat, your body is an absolute masterpiece. Hunger is not just some fleeting feeling or a lack of mental toughness. It's a carefully regulated process. It's this intricate, crazy dance controlled by your hormones, your nervous system, your digestive tract, your body fat, and your brain. And understanding how this complex biology actually works is absolutely the most crucial step you can take towards building a much healthier, more peaceful relationship with food.
So, let's jump right in and meet the main players in Section 1, your hunger hormones.
First up is a little hormone called ghrelin. I want you to think of ghrelin as your body's gas pedal. When your stomach is relatively empty, cells primarily located right there in your stomach start pumping out this hormone. It travels straight through your bloodstream all the way up to the hypothalamus in your brain. But it doesn't just make your stomach randomly growl. Ghrelin actively dials up the rewarding aspects of food. Have you ever been so unbelievably hungry that foods you wouldn't normally even glance at suddenly smell and taste like a five-star meal? Yeah, that is ghrelin actively doing its job, aggressively pushing you to go find energy.
So the crucial takeaway here is that ghrelin is sending a very literal, demanding message to your brain. Hey, it's time to eat. And actually, this is where it gets incredibly frustrating for anyone who has ever tried to diet. When you start to lose weight, your ghrelin levels actually spike, while your feelings of fullness just drop off. Why? Because your brain sees that weight loss and goes into full panic mode. It perceives it as a massive threat to your survival. It literally thinks a famine is hit. So it cranks up the volume on that ghrelin signal. See, your body isn't trying to sabotage your diet. It's desperately trying to protect its energy reserves.
Now let's contrast that gas pedal with your body's braking system, leptin. While ghrelin is made in the stomach, leptin is produced primarily by your fat cells. Basically, the more body fat you carry, the more leptin your cells pump out. It signals to your brain that, hey, our energy reserves are totally fine, which effectively reduces your appetite. But just like we saw with ghrelin, losing weight throws a massive wrench in the gears. As your body fat decreases during weight loss, your leptin levels plummet. The brakes completely come off. Your brain senses those shrinking energy stores, and out of nowhere, your hunger and cravings go through the roof.
And this brings us to a brilliantly frustrating biological paradox known as leptin resistance. Now, you might be wondering, well, if leptin suppresses appetite, shouldn't having a lot of body fat just cause someone to stop eating entirely? Well, in many individuals dealing with obesity, their fat cells are actually producing massive amounts of leptin. The problem? The brain basically becomes totally unresponsive to the signal. Imagine someone shouting at you through a megaphone, but you're wearing heavy-duty earplugs. The message is definitely being sent, but it is just not being heard. As a result, that elevated hunger just keeps going, despite having plenty of stored energy.
Let's keep moving down the digestive tract, into Section 2, the satiety squad. Way down deep in your lower small intestine and colon, you've got these specialized little guys called L cells. When nutrients finally arrive down there, these cells release two incredibly powerful satiety hormones, GLP-1 and PYY. These hormones do the heavy lifting when it comes to making you feel genuinely full.
They slow down how fast your stomach empties, they kill your appetite, and they send these intense, okay, we are totally done eating signals straight to your brain. And get this, these natural signals are so incredibly potent that some of the most effective modern weight loss medications are literally designed just to mimic or amplify this exact biological pathway. Your body already has this high-tech control system built right in.
But how do we naturally trigger that amazing system? The secret is in the gut microbiome. When you eat fiber, we humans actually can't digest it, so it travels all the way down to the large intestine totally intact. Once it gets there, trillions of gut bacteria just feast on it. They ferment it and produce these compounds called short-chain fatty acids. And here is where the magic happens. Those fatty acids actively poke your intestinal L cells, telling them to release even more of those GLP-1 and PY fullness hormones. So eating fiber isn't just about filling physical space in your stomach. It's basically pulling the biological levers that crank up your fullness.
It's wild to see how drastically different types of fuel totally alter the hormonal response we just talked about. Fiber slows digestion and supports that GLP-1 release. Protein is an absolute champion when it comes to satiety. It strongly triggers fullness hormones and really keeps that hunger at bay between meals. But then look at highly processed foods. These are literally engineered to be super easy to chew and rapidly digested, effectively bypassing every single one of those natural fullness signals we just mapped out.
We also have to touch on caloric density. If you look at this breakdown, protein and carbohydrates both pack about 4 calories per gram, but dietary fat, that sits at about 9 calories per gram. Now, to be clear, this absolutely does not make fat the bad guy, but structurally, it means that high-fat foods deliver a massive payload of calories into your system way before your stomach ever physically feels like it's full.
And that physical feeling of fullness, that mechanical side of things matters just as much as the hormones. Your stomach is literally lined with stretch receptors, so high-volume foods like a massive salad, a big bowl of soup, or a loaded baked potato, they contain tons of water and fiber. They physically stretch those receptors in your stomach, sending a powerful sense of fullness to your brain for way fewer calories. Compare that to some low-volume, calorie-dense processed snack. You could easily eat hundreds of calories of that stuff without ever once stretching those receptors to trigger that "I'm full" feeling.
Let's zoom out a bit from our own biology to look at the world around us in Section 3, the external disruptors.
First up on the list, sleep. Getting adequate sleep is probably the most underrated weight management tool on the entire planet. When you are chronically sleep deprived, your body perceives it as a severe biological stressor. And how does it cope? It demands more energy. Suddenly, your ghrelin, remember, the hunger gas pedal, shoots up and your leptin, the fullness brakes, takes a nosedive. Your cravings absolutely skyrocket. You aren't just feeling tired, your body is chemically demanding that you eat more food.
Then, of course, we have chronic stress, which basically floods your entire system with the hormone cortisol. Over time, having constantly elevated cortisol completely scrambles your appetite regulation and directly spikes your cravings for highly rewarding, calorie-dense foods. And I really want to validate something for you right now. Stress eating genuinely feels comforting in the moment. It's not in your head. Those specific foods temporarily light up reward pathways in your brain. The relief you feel is real, but unfortunately it is entirely fleeting and it leaves your internal appetite regulation in total chaos.
So when we're stressed to the max and running on empty, what do we almost always reach for? Ultra-processed foods. I really want to shift the blame away from you as an individual here and place it squarely on the modern food environment. These foods aren't just junk. They are meticulously, purposefully engineered to be insanely palatable, super easy to chew, and rapidly digested. Because they are completely stripped of natural fiber and jam-packed with this hyper-rewarding combo of refined carbs, fats, and salt, they are literally designed to bypass your natural satiety brakes. When the world around you is constantly pushing these foods, trying to rely purely on willpower is honestly a losing game.
So where does that leave us? Let's move to Section 4, working with your biology.
Let's translate all this crazy science into a concrete, actionable plan where you are finally working in harmony with your hunger hormones instead of constantly fighting them. By prioritizing fiber-rich foods, you ensure physical volume and wake up those satiety hormones in your gut. By getting adequate protein, you lock down your hunger between meals. By aggressively protecting your sleep schedule and finding ways to manage your stress, you keep cortisol, ghrelin, and leptin in a much healthier balance. By choosing minimally processed whole foods, you're stepping back and letting your body's natural signals do the exact work they evolved over millions of years to do.
If you take absolutely nothing else away from this explainer today, I really want you to remember this one core truth. Hunger is not a character flaw. It is a biological signal. When you're hungry, your body isn't failing you, and you absolutely aren't failing yourself.
Your body is just trying to communicate based on an incredibly complex system designed to keep you safe. It is finally time to permanently replace the shame and guilt you might have been carrying with genuine understanding and self-compassion.
The battle against your appetite was honestly never simply a matter of willpower. It was always about biology. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Now that you know your biology is not the enemy, how will you change your relationship with food tomorrow? Thank you so much for exploring the amazing science of the human body with me today. Keep learning, keep asking those great questions, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.